Petco Park, a new beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, they.
And good day, everybody. Welcome on into the Marlins Padres Talking Friars pregame show for May 7th, 2022. I'm your host, Ben Fadden. Tonight, the Padres host the Miami Marlins. Petco Park is the site of the game. Padres enter tonight 18-9 after last night's win. They win 3-2. Their second straight one-run win versus Manny, from Miami. Manny Machado with his second consecutive night driving in the game-winning run. The Marlins entered tonight 12-14. They entered the series 12-12. It'll be on Bally Sports San Diego, 97.3 The Fan, as always. 5:40 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. Padres in the National League West are tied for first place, and they are 0 games back in the National League West. The Marlins are in second place in the National League East. They are 6 games back. The Mets have not played in a couple days because of the rainout yesterday, and I think they got rained out today as well. So they're going to have a doubleheader tomorrow. So they're not the Marlins are not losing a lot of games. They're losing half games pretty much on the on the Mets pretty much right now, because the Mets haven't played the last couple of days. There were like 6 postponements yesterday. For me, it was a good win for the Padres last night. As always, I'll talk about it on the next episode 159 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show, coming up tomorrow after the series, reacting to the whole series, previewing Chicago, that series, any thoughts that I've had in between these games. There's been some discussions about Blake Snell and Yu Darvish being involved in possible trades. They have been discussed, or teams had called the Padres. Dennis Lin came out with this report today that Snell and Darvish have drawn some interest from other teams before the season. No trade is imminent or going to happen, at least as of now, as of Friday. But I'll be talking more about that tomorrow after the game as well. David, hi, how's it going? All right, the pitching matchup tonight: Pablo Lopez for the Miami Marlins, Sean Manaea for the Padres. Lopez, he's arguably the best starting pitcher in the National League right now. He has a 1.29 earned run average. He's allowed more than 1 run just once in this season, in any of his starts this season. And that one time that he allowed more than 1 run was his first start. He allowed 0 runs in his second start, his third start, and his fourth start. So he's pitching really, really well, and it's going to be a tough matchup. Jesus Luzardo was a tough matchup the first night of this series, and then yesterday the Padres offense didn't get a whole lot going either. They scored 1 more run than they did on Thursday, but it's been pretty tough, some pretty tough matchups for the Padres the first few games, or a couple games of this series, and it looks like it's going to be another tough one tonight. Sean Manaea on the mound for the Padres. Manaea has allowed 9 earned runs in his last 2 starts combined. He's gone 6+ innings in all but 1 of his starts. The good news for Manaea, for me at least, going into this game, is he doesn't have to go into the 7th like Darvish and Martinez went through 7. He doesn't have to do that. Like he had to kind of grind to get at least into the 7th like he did in Pittsburgh, because of the lack of relievers that they had, the relievers that they could trust. Because right now, Pittsburgh has all but 1 reliever, the Padres, all but 1 reliever is likely available today if you look at the bullpen usage chart. And we can look at that right now. Taylor Rogers pitched yesterday. And so did Steven Wilson. Rogers pitched back-to-back for the 4th and the 5th. That's why he didn't pitch yesterday. I got confused on that. Wilson and Suarez pitched yesterday. So Wilson is probably down for today just because there's Garcia and Suarez available along with Rogers. Chris Matt was warming up in the bullpen in the 9th yesterday when Steven Wilson had a little bit of a rocky start to say the least, allowing those first two base runners to get on. And then everyone, Lamet, Stammen, Hill, they should all be available. Hill for matchups like usual. So that's the good news for Manaea, is pretty much all but one guy, just assuming based on pitch counts and all that, would be available to come in after Manaea. So I don't think he has as much pressure on him as maybe a Nick Martinez did, certainly as a Nick Martinez did in the first game of the series, because every reliever had pitched the day before. So he needed to go long just to save some arms, right? And that happened yesterday, right? You have, the first game of the series, with going 7 innings for Martinez, that allowed Wilson and Suarez to rest on, on Thursday. And then, so that meant that they were available for yesterday. So it's all a chain link effect. It all comes in to effect. Everything's pretty much connected. Chasing the Horizon says, isn't this the first start after he gave up 8? No, that was the Dodgers start. He gave up 3 in his last start. He gave up 3 to Pittsburgh, Manaea's last start, I believe. All right, showed the bullpen chart. As for the lineups, I don't think the Marlins lineup is out. Let me reload this real quick. Yeah, not out yet. So the Padres lineup, pretty much a lot of it's the same. Nola's not catching tonight. It's Alfaro, but Beatty's in there. Abrams is in there. And then the top 5, same as last night. Cronenworth, except Manny's DHing and Cronenworth's not. Cronenworth at second, leading off. Hassan Kim playing third because Manny's DHing. Manny Machado hitting third. Haas at first hitting fourth. He came through with an RBI double in the gap in the first inning yesterday. He's hitting .371, still on fire. 18 ribbies so far this year. Profar hitting 5th. Grisham hitting 6th. Alfaro 7th. Beatty hitting 8th. Abrams hitting 9th. So that's the Padres lineup. Not a whole lot to talk about in terms of like takeaways from it, because it's pretty much the same lineup. Alfaro has not had the same, start as he did in spring training. But again, it was spring training. That's expected. He wasn't playing a lot, kind of like he was in spring training. And then with Beatty and Abrams, I'd personally like Trace Thompson to be playing over Matt Beatty, but I think they're giving Matt Beatty more chances right now because they really want to see if they want to keep him on the roster when Luke Voit comes back, who's been rehabbing. By the way, he's been sucking, but I don't think he has a hit yet in El Paso in his rehab assignments. But I think they're giving Beatty more chances than Thompson. I think Thompson pinch hit yesterday, I believe, right? I think late in the game. I can check that and get back to you after the game tomorrow. But they're giving Beatty more chances because they want to really see if he's worth keeping him on the roster and then sending down Zokar or Thompson. I think, to be honest, I think it's a pretty smart decision by them. Is Trace Thompson – it's not like Trace Thompson is producing way more than Beatty. I still think Thompson would be a better option than Beatty. But you also have to look at the lineup, right? Well, even actually, no, scratch that. No, looking at the lineup tonight, it's not like it's right-handed heavy, especially where Beatty is in the lineup, right? Starting at the 6th spot, well, like Lopez tonight is a righty, so actually starting with the 5 spot, Profar, that's a lefty tonight because he's a switch hitter, so he's a lefty. Grisham's a lefty. Beatty's a lefty. Abrams is a lefty. So 4 of their last 5, they're obviously playing that because they're handedness or the right-handedness, in the order and kind of stagger those. That's not what they're doing tonight, really. You got a lefty in Cronenworth, lefty in Hosmer, lefty in Profar, lefty in Grisham, lefty in Beatty, lefty in Abrams. So 6 of their 9 hitters tonight are lefties. So They're really stacking that batting line, the batting order tonight. Yeah, Lakem, yep. Voit, I think that's who you're referring to. He struck out 4 times. Yeah, he struck out 4 times, I think, last night for El Paso. All right, talked about the lineups. My Padre pick today, I'm going to go Jake Cronenworth. Top of the lineup, left against right. I'm going to go with that matchup. I picked Manny last night. He went 2 for 3. I don't want to go back-to-back. I'm 16-10 so far after getting that Manny pick right. 16-10 so far this season in my pregame show Padre pick. Again, if you're new, I appreciate you tuning in. I encourage you to hit that subscribe button for daily Padres content on this very YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos that I put out, any content that I put out. You can follow at Talking Friars on Twitter as well to get all of the game highlights, all of the plays that I put out there, the funny moments during games that I clip and put out there on Twitter at Talking Friars. I put the main scoring moments, the homers, stuff like that on the Instagram and TikTok, and then post-game reaction videos on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter as well. Cronenworth, like I mentioned today, my Padre pick. Anyone new, the Padre pick is one Padre. I do it before every game. The one Padre I think will get a hit. If I have to pick one Padre to get a hit, who is it? And so today I'm going to pick Jake Cronenworth, like I mentioned, the left-on-right matchup. What to watch for today? Will someone other than Manny come through? It's been 2 nights in a row where Manny's driven in the game-winning run. Last night it was Haas and Beatty with the first 2 runs of the game, respectively. Who will it be tonight? Will the Padres? Well, one, will they win the game? You got to have someone. You got to win the game or be in a position for someone to be in the position to come in with the game-winning hit. If Manny does it tonight, again, they won. A win is a win. It's not like I'm going to be mad. But you'd like to see more people contributing than Manny and Hosmer consistently in this lineup. And right now, that's pretty much what is happening. Work Pablo Lopez's pitch count. He has that ERA under 1.3 right now. He's one of the best pitchers, arguably the best pitcher in the National League, starting pitching-wise in terms of ERA. So what that tells me is obviously he's not allowing a lot of runs. So it's not like he's striking out a ton of guys. So he does pitch to contact. He has the same strikeouts as Sean Manaea, and Manaea works quick, right? He pitches to contact. So work that pitch count. The Padres have a knack for doing that. There are some times where they're working the count and they're swinging at pitches that are outside the strike zone to stay alive, or even with 1 strike. I mean, Profar's done that a lot. And I think that's part of the reason why it's contributed to his slump. He's swinging at pitches outside the zone, and he ends up hitting it in fair territory and getting out on it. It's a weak pop-up or something like that. So hopefully they swing at better pitches, but work the count, get into their bullpen, and I think that'll set them up well for a Padre win. All right, MLB scores and news before I answer your questions and look at your comments. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in here live or on replay. Again, this is the Marlins Padres Talking Friars pregame show, or at least pregame thoughts before every game. I might not have a pregame show before every game, but I'll at least have a pregame video out there before every game. There's sometimes maybe where I just have something to do, or like I'm flying back to San Diego this week. So I don't know if I'll be able to do it then. Maybe I'll record it earlier and put it out there. But there definitely some type of pregame content before every game. Let's see. The National League West, Dodgers have a doubleheader against the Cubs today. They won the first one. They blew them out. Dodgers are 17-7 as we speak right now. Their second game gets kicked off at 4:40 p.m. Pacific time. Cardinals play the Giants. I think it's Buster Posey Day in San Francisco. I have no idea what that means, if they're retiring his number or what. But supposedly it's Buster Posey Day in San Francisco as they host the Cardinals. I think that game's on FS1. Colorado and Arizona play against one another in Arizona at 5:10 Pacific time. I know this isn't the division, but the Nationals Angels game is pretty intriguing to me. At least that series. And then Mets game got postponed, Baltimore game got postponed, and the Yankees game got postponed today. That's I think 2 days in a row now that all three of those games have been postponed because of the bad weather. Let me see here. Just trying to see any other news. Chris Sale's return is being delayed by a personal medical issue. George Kirby, one of the top Mariners pitching prospects, or he might be their top pitching prospect, actually. He's going to be called up. Miguel Cabrera, he hit his 600th career double today against Houston. So those are some just MLB news, some notes there. All right. Let's answer some questions, some comments here. Kwan says, Cronenworth is due. Yeah, he's gotten a little bit better. I'll say that. I know one of the at bats last night, the umpire totally hosed him. Iris says, do you think one of the reasons why pitchers don't like the 6-man, 7-man rotations because it gives them less opportunity to win awards, such as Cy Young? No, I don't think maybe some pitchers are selfish like that, but I don't buy into that. I think it's more just about routine. Like if there were always 6 or 7-man rotations, and that's just the way it was, there were never 5-man rotations, and they always come up pitching every 6th or 7th day in the minor leagues. Kind of like how Ohtani's doing it right now. If that's just the way it was through every team, every roster, every organization, it wouldn't be a big deal because that would be their routine. They'd have a new routine or a routine that they'd be used to. But when there's a 5-man rotation like this, and then the possibility comes of having a 6-man or a 7-man, right now they're in a 6-man, at least through the rest of the homestand, that just messes with some of their routines. Because some pitchers, the day after they pitch, they don't throw, or they just get some running in. The next day, maybe they do they light throwing on flat ground. Then the next day, they do a weight lift session. The next day, then they throw a bullpen. It's routine oriented. So they have that routine for those 4 days in between their starts. Then when you add another day, it just messes with it. So I think that's the main reason why pitchers don't like it. I don't think it's the Cy Young. I understand the point about the Cy Young. Yeah, it might be harder to win because of an innings type thing. If you're going up against Max Scherzer at the end of the year, let's say it's Joe Musgrove against Max Scherzer for Cy Young, and Scherzer has more innings than Musgrove, way more innings, because he was going every 5th day, because you have an old school manager in Buck Showalter, and the Mets don't have as many amazing arms. I mean, they have a good rotation. They're the second best team in the National League right now? They're amazing right now. But he might not have, I don't think he has that top pitching prospect like Mackenzie Gore pitching in the rotation. So I think that's part of it. So he's pitching every 5th day. So it's not a problem for Scherzer or for the Mets, where it's more of a problem for the Padres. In Musgrove, when you go every 6th day, you're taking away starts from him. If you go 6 days, every 6th day, and let's say you have an off day, right, on a Thursday or a Monday. Okay, well, now you're pitching once a week. That severely limits your innings as opposed to someone who's pitching twice a week. And let's say even both pitchers, one pitcher who's pitching twice a week goes 5 innings each time, 10 innings. Okay, well, they doubled the other pitcher who went once a week, and those add up pretty quickly. So for the Cy Young thing, I understand where you're coming from there. The Marlins announcers made the point that the Padres are leading the league in walks and executing with sacrifice flies to score runs and win games. I did not know that they were leading the league in walks. The sacrifice fly thing isn't surprising because you do have Profar, Nola, right? That sac fly against the Dodgers stands out. The walk off. You have Grisham laying down bunts. I know that's not a sac fly, but this team, when you have Bob Melvin, I think it kind of forces you to play better fundamental baseball. And so I could definitely see why they have a lot of sacrifice flies and sac bunts and sacrifice groundouts to win games. Kwan says, I thought Cronenworth would go off batting in front of Manny. He still could. He's not batting just in front of Manny, though. He's batting in front of Ha-Seong Kim. And maybe, I mean, you don't want to put the leadoff guy on, but maybe they'd rather pitch to Kim than Cronenworth. I mean, look, when Manny's coming up, you'd rather pitch to him with 2 outs and no one on. Well, that's obvious. I understand your point, but Kim is in between Cronenworth and Manny. It's not just Kim, Cronenworth, Manny. It's Cronenworth leadoff, Kim second, Manny third. Irie says, I don't think the Padres want Joe to win the Cy Young. They definitely won't be able to afford him. I want him to stay. Is this selfish thinking? A little bit. I think they're going to find a way to get it done. If they don't, yeah, I'm going to be pissed off. I think a lot of fans are going to be pissed off, and they should, just because of everything that he's done for the city. And you take that out, just take the whole San Diego kid out of it. This guy's an amazing pitcher right now. Duh. So, yeah, I want him to stay, not just because of the San Diego connection, but because he's a really good pitcher. Now, am I facing the facts of the Padres probably aren't going to be able to keep Manaea, Clevenger, and Musgrove in the offseason? Yeah, because they're going to get big contracts, right? But the good news is they have Morejon coming back. They have Gore for another 5 years after this year. I mean, the bad news is they don't have a whole lot more starting pitching great depth in the minor league system after that. But you have, okay, let's say you extend. I think they'll be able to sign 2 of those 3 guys in free agency. I mean, this is a whole nother conversation for the offseason or at the end of the season that we'll have. But my gut reaction right now, I think they'll be able to get 2 of those 3. I think trading Snell or Darvish after this season could help. But then again, you're just going to have to replace those guys anyway. I mean, you could replace them with someone who's more under control and might not be as good as them, but he's under control at least. They still have Weathers. I know he's kind of struggled, but he's still an option. He's still some type of a depth option, right? But that's a long ways away. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in live or on replay on the Talking for Hours YouTube channel. This has been the Marlins Padres Talking for Hours pregame show. I am your host, Ben Fadden. First pitch, 5:40 p.m. Pacific time at Petco Park, Valley Sports San Diego, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Ben Fadden, your host. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Enjoy it, everyone. I'll be back with the post-game reaction video as well. See ya.